My name is Gerald, but everyone calls me Grandpa Jerry. I'm 63 years old, and I've learned something over the years. Adults learn how to lie. Children don't. This story didn't start with an argument. It didn't start with raised voices or slammed doors. It started with my granddaughter sitting beside me, swinging her legs, telling me something she thought I already knew. She leaned in close and said it softly. Not like a warning, not like a confession, just like a fact. I remember smiling at first, because what she said didn't sound dangerous, until I realized it explained everything that hadn't made sense for months. The sudden kindness, the forced check-ins, the way conversations stopped when I entered a room. That single sentence opened a door I didn't know existed. Behind it were conversations I was never meant to hear, plans I was never asked about, and paperwork I was never supposed to see. In that moment, I understood something painful. They weren't being nicer to me. They were being careful. I'm going to tell you what my granddaughter repeated, why it changed how I saw every smile after that, and how listening instead of reacting gave me clarity they never expected. But before I continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? To everyone who keeps coming back and listening, thank you. Your support reminds me that the truth has a way of surfacing. And if this is your first time here, take a moment to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. You're not just listening to stories. You're standing with people who were quietly pushed aside and finally started paying attention. Now, let me tell you what she said and why it mattered. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late September. I remember because the leaves were just starting to turn, and Lily, my granddaughter, had been tracing them onto construction paper at my kitchen table. She's 7, gap-toothed smile, obsessed with butterflies and anything purple. My daughter Veronica had dropped her off around 2 o'clock, said she had errands to run. Dentist appointment, maybe the bank, she'd be back by 5. Nothing unusual. Lily and I were making grilled cheese sandwiches when she looked up at me with those wide brown eyes and said, "Grandpa Jerry, Mommy says we're not supposed to talk about the new house." I stopped mid-flip with the spatula. "What new house, sweetheart?" Her hand flew to her mouth, eyes went even wider. "Oops." She actually said, "Oops." Like she'd just spilled juice on the carpet instead of cracking open something I didn't even know existed. "I wasn't supposed to say that," she whispered. I set the spatula down slowly, kept my voice light. "It's okay, Lily. What new house?" She shook her head fast. "Mommy said it's a secret until it's ready. She said not to tell you or Grandma yet." I smiled at her, ruffled her hair, changed the subject to her coloring. But inside, something cold slid down my spine. Because 6 months ago, I'd co-signed a refinance on Veronica and Vincent's current house. They said interest rates had dropped, said they could save $300 a month. I trusted them. Vincent's my son-in-law, been in the family for 12 years. Good guy, works in commercial real estate with his partner Simon. I put up $40,000 of my retirement savings as collateral to help them lock in the loan. And now they had a new house that they were keeping secret from me? I didn't say anything to Lily. Didn't want to scare her or make her feel like she'd done something wrong. We finished lunch, watched a cartoon. When Veronica picked her up at 5, I was all smiles. "How were the errands?" I asked. "Oh, fine. Just boring adult stuff," Veronica said, kissing my cheek. "Thanks for watching her, Dad." "Anytime." She left. I stood in the doorway and watched her car disappear down the street. Then I went to my study. I'm not a suspicious person by nature. Spent 40 years running a small logistics company. Dealt with contracts, people, handshakes. I've always believed that trust is the foundation of everything. Family especially. But something about the way Veronica had said boring adult stuff didn't sit right. I pulled out the file cabinet where I keep financial documents. Found the folder labeled Veronica and Vincent, Refinance 2024. I sat down and started reading. The first few pages looked normal. Standard refinance agreement. Lower interest rate. My signature at the bottom as co-signer. But then I got to page 7. It wasn't a refinance. It was a second mortgage. $150,000. With me listed as guarantor. I read it 3 times. My signature was there, right at the bottom. But I didn't remember signing this. I remembered signing a refinance. Not a second mortgage. Not for this amount. I pulled out my reading glasses. Looked closer. Some of the initials in the margins weren't even mine. The handwriting was close but not exact. My chest tightened. I picked up my phone. Almost called Veronica. Then I stopped. Because if I called her now, angry, confused, she'd have time to prepare. Time to spin it. Time to make me feel like I'd misunderstood or misremembered. I set the phone down. My wife, Desmond. Yes, she's named after her grandfather, and yes, we've heard all the jokes, was at her book club. Wouldn't be home for another hour. I sat there in the quiet, and I thought about the last 6 months. The visits that felt shorter. The phone calls that sounded rehearsed. The way Vincent had started calling me Pops more often, like we were suddenly closer. The way Veronica brought me my favorite coffee every Sunday, even though she used to forget. It had felt nice. I'd thought they were just being thoughtful. But now it felt like they'd been managing me. I opened my laptop, logged into my bank account, checked the statements from the last year. Everything looked normal at first. Then I noticed a transfer I didn't recognize. $15,000. Moved from my savings to a joint account I didn't remember opening. I clicked deeper. There were 3 more transfers. Smaller amounts. Spread out over months. My hands started shaking. I heard the front door open. Desmond's voice calling out, "Jerry, you home?" I closed the laptop, took a breath, and called back, "In the study, honey." She appeared in the doorway, smiling, holding a book. "How is Lily?" "Good," I said. "She's good." Desmond looked at me closer. "You okay? You look pale." I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "Des, we need to talk." I told Desmond everything that night. We sat at the kitchen table, the same one where Lily had been coloring just hours before, and I walked her through the documents. The second mortgage, the transfers, the signatures that didn't quite match mine. She didn't cry right away. She just stared at the papers, turning pages slowly, like maybe if she looked long enough they'd say something different. Finally, she looked up at me. "Our daughter did this?" I nodded. "And Vincent?" "It's his business partner's name on some of the LLC paperwork. Guy named Simon." Desmond folded her hands on the table. Her voice came out steady, but I could hear the crack underneath. "What are we going to do?" I didn't have an answer yet, but I knew one thing. If I confronted them directly, they'd deny it. Spin it. Make me doubt my own memory. I've seen it before in business. People caught in lies don't confess. They pivot. "I need more information first," I said. The next morning, I called my old friend Dennis. We'd worked together years ago. He'd been the contract lawyer for my logistics company before he went into private practice. Good man, sharp as hell. I drove to his office and laid everything out. He went through the documents in silence. Took him 20 minutes. When he finally looked up, his jaw was tight. "Jerry, this is fraud. They forged your initials. Used your credit without full disclosure. If this goes to court, they're in serious trouble." "I don't want to go to court," I said. "Not yet. I just want to understand what's happening." Dennis leaned back in his chair. "Let me pull the county records. See what else is tied to your name." "You can do that." "I can. Give me 48 hours. I left his office feeling sick. That afternoon, I did something I'm not proud of. I drove to Veronica and Vincent's house. Their car was in the driveway. It was a Thursday. Vincent works from home most days, and Veronica had mentioned she was taking the afternoon off. I knocked. No answer. I walked around to the back. The sliding glass door to the patio was open. Not wide, just enough to let the breeze in. I stood there for a second, debating. Then I heard Vincent's voice from inside, on speakerphone. "Yeah, Simon, the old man signed everything. He doesn't even read the documents anymore. Just trusts whatever we put in front of him." I froze. A man's voice responded, deep, confident. "Simon. And Veronica's playing her part?" "Perfectly," Vincent said. "She's got him convinced everything's fine. Brings him coffee every week, checks in, the whole routine. He has no idea." Simon laughed. It was the kind of laugh that makes your skin crawl. "Once you flip the Maple Street property, you'll clear at least $300K. Split 4 ways with me and Desmond, that's still a hell of a payday." "Wait. Desmond? Not my Desmond. Another Desmond?" Vincent sighed. "Veronica's getting nervous. Keeps saying he's going to figure it out." "He won't," Simon said flatly. "Guys like that don't think their own kids would screw them. That's the advantage." I stood there, hand pressed against the siding, heart hammering in my chest. "What about the new house?" Vincent asked. "Close in 3 weeks. Make sure he doesn't find out before then. Once it's done, you're golden. Even if he does figure it out later, what's he gonna do? Sue his own daughter?" "Yeah," Vincent said quietly. "Yeah, you're right." They moved on to talking about contractors and inspection schedules. I backed away from the door, slowly, carefully, got in my car, sat there for 5 full minutes, staring at the steering wheel. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely grip it. I wanted to go back inside, scream at him, flip the table, demand answers. But I didn't, because in that moment, a switch flipped in my brain. If I confronted them now, they'd scramble, destroy evidence, lawyer up, turn it into a "he said, she said." No, I needed to be smarter than that. I started the car and drove home. When I walked in, Desmond took one look at my face and said, "What happened?" I told her. Every word. She sat down hard on the couch like her legs had given out. "Vincent said that? About you?" I nodded. "And Veronica's? She's been pretending this whole time?" "Yeah." Desmond put her face in her hands. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then she looked up at me, eyes red but fierce. "What do we do?" I sat down next to her. "We wait for Dennis to get the records. We find out how deep this goes. And then I looked at her. Then we take everything back." 2 days later, Dennis called. "You need to come to my office. Now." When I got there, he had 3 file folders spread across his desk. "Jerry," he said slowly, "there aren't 1 or 2 properties tied to your name." "How many?" 3. All purchased in the last 14 months. All with your signature on loan documents. All part of an LLC that lists you as a principal investor." I sat down. "Jesus." "There's more," Dennis said. "The LLC is co-owned by Simon Garrett and a man named Desmond Ruiz. I ran both names. Simon's been involved in 2 previous real estate fraud cases. Settled out of court both times. Desmond Ruiz has a bankruptcy from 2019. So they're using me as the clean credit." "Exactly. And if any of this goes south, you're the one holding the liability." I felt the room tilt. "How much am I on the hook for?" Dennis slid a paper across the desk. "Worst case, about $470,000. I stared at the number. Nearly $500,000. My entire retirement. The house, everything Desmond and I had saved for 40 years. Gone. "Can we stop it?" I asked. Dennis nodded. "We can, but it's going to get ugly." "I don't care." He looked at me for a long moment. "Jerry, are you sure? This is your daughter." I thought about Vincent's voice on that speakerphone. The old man doesn't even read documents anymore. I thought about Veronica's Sunday coffee visits, the forced smiles, the careful questions. "Yeah," I said, "I'm sure." "Stop. Right there. If you're feeling that anger rising in your chest, that sick twist in your stomach, good. That means you're human. But here's the reality. Only 9% of the people watching this video are actually subscribed. That means 91% of you are going to miss what happens next unless you do something about it right now. Next is where I stop playing defense and start taking everything back. And trust me, it gets satisfying. But I'm not dropping it for people who aren't locked in. Hit subscribe, smash that like button, turn on all notifications, and drop a comment telling me, would you have confronted them right away, or would you have stayed quiet like I did? I need to know I'm not alone in this. Now, let's continue. Dennis filed the injunction on a Monday morning. Quietly, no dramatics. Just a legal hold on all 3 properties and the accounts tied to the LLCs they'd created in my name. This frees everything, he explained. They can't sell, transfer, or withdraw funds until we sort this out. How long before they notice? I asked. Could be hours, could be days. Depends on when they try to access the accounts. It took 6 hours. Vincent called me at 4:47 p.m. I was in the garage organizing old paint cans when my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. Let it go to voicemail. But something told me this was the moment. I picked up. Hey, Pops. His voice was tight, controlled. Got a weird call from the bank today. They're saying there's some kind of legal hold on one of our accounts. I kept my voice steady. Casual. A hold? That's strange. What kind of hold? They wouldn't give me details, but they mentioned your name. Said something about an injunction? I let the silence hang for a beat. Huh, that is strange. Did you file something, Jerry? The way he said my actual name instead of Pops told me everything. File something, I said slowly. Vincent, I'm not sure what you're talking about. The bank said the hold came from your lawyer. My lawyer? You have a lawyer? I smiled even though he couldn't see it. I do now. The silence on the other end stretched long enough that I thought he'd hung up. Then, why would you do this? Do what, Vincent? Put a hold on our accounts. We're family. That's funny, I said. I was just thinking the same thing. What's that supposed to mean? I could have unloaded on him right there. Screamed about the forged signatures, the secret properties, the conversation I'd overheard. But I didn't, because rage gives people ammunition. Calm takes it away. It means, I said evenly, that if there's an issue with accounts tied to my name, my lawyer's handling it. If you have questions, you should have your lawyer call him. Jerry, come on. I'm making dinner. We'll talk soon. I hung up. My hands weren't shaking this time. Desmond walked into the garage. Was that him? Yeah. What did he say? He's panicking. She crossed her arms. Good. For the next 3 weeks, I played the role of my life. I showed up to Sunday dinner, smiled, asked about Lily's school play, complimented the roast Veronica made. Inside, I was documenting everything. Every glance between Vincent and Veronica when I mentioned finances. Every time Vincent's phone buzzed and he left the room to take a call. Every forced laugh. Every carefully worded answer. Dennis had advised me to act normal while he built the case. Don't tip your hand, he said. Let them think the injunction is just a bureaucratic mistake you're working through. So that's what I did. At one Sunday dinner, Veronica brought it up directly. Dad, Vincent mentioned something about a legal hold. Is everything okay? I shrugged. Oh, that. Yeah, some kind of clerical error with one of the refinance documents. Dennis is sorting it out. Dennis is your lawyer? Old friend from my company days. He's just making sure all the paperwork is clean. You know how banks are. She relaxed, visibly. Okay, good. I was worried it was something serious. Nope, I said, taking a bite of mashed potatoes. Nothing serious. Vincent watched me the entire meal. He knew, maybe not the details, but he knew something had shifted. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. I got a call from a blocked number 1 Tuesday afternoon. Mr. Harrison? A woman's voice, nervous, shaky. Yes? My name is Claire. I'm Simon Garrett's ex-wife. I sat up straighter. Go on. I heard through a mutual contact that you're dealing with him, with Simon and Desmond Ruiz. How did you hear that? Small legal community. Dennis Murphy reached out to someone who knows me. They thought I should call you. Why? She took a breath. Because Simon did this to me. To my parents. 3 years ago. Same scheme. Real estate flips. Forged signatures. By the time we figured it out, they'd taken $200,000. My chest tightened. Did you get it back? Some. Not all. We spent 2 years in court. It bankrupted my parents emotionally. My dad died 6 months after the settlement. Stress-related heart attack. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry, she said, and her voice hardened. Be smart. Because Simon's good at this. He's done it before. He'll do it again. Do you have records? Proof? I kept everything. Emails, bank transfers, text messages, recorded phone calls. I documented it all because I knew he'd lie. Would you share those with my lawyer? That's why I'm calling. 2 days later, Claire showed up at Dennis's office with 4 bankers' boxes. Emails between Simon and Desmond going back 6 years. Screenshots of deleted text messages she'd recovered. Bank statements showing shell companies, fake invoices, forged documents. It was a gold mine. Dennis looked up from the first box, eyes wide. Jerry, this isn't just your case anymore. This is a pattern. If we bring this to the authorities, we're talking wire fraud, tax evasion, elder financial abuse. How many other victims? I asked. Claire spoke up. At least 7 that I know of. Probably more. I looked at her. Why are you helping me? She met my eyes. Because when it happened to me, no one helped, and I don't want another family to go through what mine did. That night, I made a decision. I wasn't just getting my money back. I was taking them all down. Simon, Desmond Ruiz, and yes, Vincent. But Veronica, that was harder, because she was my daughter, and some part of me still wanted to believe she'd been manipulated, pressured by Vincent, caught up in something she didn't fully understand. Desmond sat next to me on the couch, holding my hand. What are you thinking? She asked. I'm thinking, I said slowly, that I want to give her one chance. To do what? To tell me the truth. And if she doesn't? I looked at my wife. Then I'll know exactly who she is. I asked Veronica to meet me at the park. Not my house, not hers. Neutral ground. The same park where I used to push her on the swings when she was Lily's age. Where I taught her to ride a bike. Where we used to feed ducks on Sunday mornings before life got complicated. She arrived 10 minutes late, pulling into the parking lot in her SUV. When she got out, I could see it immediately. The tension in her shoulders. The way her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Hey, Dad. She kissed my cheek. What's going on? Your text sounded serious. Let's walk, I said. We started down the path, leaves crunching under our feet. October had settled in fully now, and the air had that sharp, clean bite to it. I didn't ease into it. Veronica, I need you to tell me about the properties. She stopped walking. What? The 3 properties, the ones tied to my name, the LLCs, the loans I supposedly signed for. Her face went pale. Dad, I need you to tell me about Simon Garrett and Desmond Ruiz, and the new house Lily mentioned. She looked away, wrapped her arms around herself. How long have you known? Long enough. She closed her eyes. I didn't want you to find out this way. What way did you want me to find out, Veronica? At all. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I stepped closer, kept my voice low, controlled. Then tell me how it was supposed to happen. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you and Vincent forged my signature, used my credit, and planned to flip properties without me ever knowing. We didn't forge. She stopped, swallowed. Okay, some of the paperwork. Vincent handled that part. I didn't know he was going to. Don't. She looked at me. Don't lie to me anymore, Veronica. I heard the phone call. I know you've been playing your part, bringing me coffee, checking in, keeping me calm. Her eyes filled with tears. Dad, please, let me explain. Then explain. She sat down on a nearby bench. I stayed standing. It started 2 years ago, she said quietly. Vincent's business was struggling. We were behind on the mortgage. Lily's school tuition was due and we didn't have it. You could have asked me for help. We did. You gave us $15,000, remember? For the roof repair? I remembered. I'd written the check without hesitation. There was no roof repair, she continued. It went to bills, and it wasn't enough. So Vincent went to Simon. Simon's been his business partner for years. He said he had a way to make money fast. Real estate flipping. Using my name. We needed good credit, a co-signer, someone the banks would trust. So you used your father? She flinched at the word. It was supposed to be temporary. One property. Flip it in 6 months, pay you back before you even noticed. But you didn't stop at one. The first one took longer to sell. The market shifted. So Simon suggested another property, then another. He said we'd make more profit, pay everything back at once. And the new house? She wiped her eyes. We closed on it last month, with the equity from the first flip. I swear, Dad, we were going to tell you, once everything was settled, once we'd paid you back in full. I sat down next to her. Not close, just near. Do you understand what you've done? I know it looks bad. It doesn't look bad, Veronica. It is bad. You committed fraud. You forged legal documents. You put me on the hook for nearly $500,000. We were going to pay it back. With what money? My voice rose for the first time. You just bought a house. Vincent's driving a new car. Where exactly was this payback coming from? She had no answer. I stood up, looked down at her. I want the truth now. All of it. Did you know Vincent was forging my signatures? She hesitated. Veronica. Yes, she whispered. I knew. Something in my chest cracked. Did you know Simon has done this before? To other families? No. I swear, Dad, I didn't. His ex-wife's father died from the stress of what Simon did to them. Did you know that? Her face went white. No. I sat back down, put my head in my hands. I thought I raised you better than this. You did. I made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting to call on my birthday. This is betrayal. She started crying harder now. Full sobs. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. But you did. We sat there in silence for a long time. Just the sound of her crying and the wind moving through the trees. Finally, I spoke. Here's what's going to happen. You and Vincent are going to transfer ownership of all 3 properties to me. You're going to sign affidavits admitting what you did, and you're going to repay every cent you took, with interest. Dad, we don't have... Then you sell the new house. Her head snapped up. We can't. Lily's school is there. Her friends. You should have thought about Lily before you decided to steal from her grandfather. Please, there has to be another way. I stood up. That is the other way. The alternative is I press charges, and Simon, Desmond, and Vincent go to prison. And me? Her voice was barely a whisper. I looked at her. That depends on you. I drove home in silence. When I walked in, Desmond was waiting in the living room. How did it go? I sat down next to her, told her everything Veronica had said. When I finished, Desmond was quiet for a long time. Then she said, Do you believe her? That she didn't know about Simon's past? I don't know. Do you think she's truly sorry? I thought about the way Veronica had looked at me, the tears, the shaking hands. I think she's sorry she got caught. Desmond took my hand. What are you going to do? What I should have done from the start, I said. I'm going to make sure they can't do this to anyone else. That night, Vincent called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. "Jerry, we need to talk. Face to face. Please. Don't do this to Veronica. Whatever you think happened, we can fix it." I deleted the message. The next morning, Dennis called. Vincent's lawyer reached out. They want to negotiate. Tell them no. "Jerry, they're offering to settle. Return 2 of the properties, partial financial restitution. I want all 3 properties, full restitution, and signed confessions. They'll never agree to that. Then we go to trial." Dennis paused. "You know what that means, right? This becomes public. Your daughter's name in the press. Lily finding out." I closed my eyes. "I know." "Are you sure?" I thought about the phone call I'd overheard. Vincent's voice. The old man doesn't even read documents anymore. I thought about Veronica's Sunday visits, the staged kindness, the lies. "Yeah," I said. "I'm sure." Chapter 5. When the House of Cards falls. Dennis filed the lawsuit on a Thursday morning, not just against Vincent and Veronica, against Simon Garrett, Desmond Ruiz, and the 2 LLCs they'd built on my name. The charges were extensive: fraud, elder financial abuse, forgery, conspiracy, unjust enrichment. But the real weapon wasn't the lawsuit. It was Claire's boxes. Dennis had spent 3 weeks organizing every email, every bank transfer, every text message she'd saved. We'd found a pattern stretching back 7 years, 8 families, elderly parents, trusting in-laws, over $2 million in total, and we'd contacted every single one of them. By Friday afternoon, 3 more families had joined the lawsuit. By Monday, it was 6. The local news picked it up on Tuesday. Real Estate Investment Scheme targets seniors. The headline ran on the evening broadcast. They interviewed Claire. She was calm, articulate, devastating. "These men prey on trust," she said, looking directly into the camera. "They find families where parents would do anything to help their children, and they exploit that love." Simon's business collapsed within a week. Clients pulled contracts. His office shut down. Desmond Ruiz fled to his brother's place in Nevada, but Dennis had already alerted authorities there. Vincent and Veronica tried to negotiate again. Their lawyer called Dennis with a new offer. They'd return all 3 properties, repay the initial $40,000, and sign affidavits. "No jail time," their lawyer said. "No criminal charges. Clean settlement." Dennis relayed the offer to me. "What do you think?" he asked. I thought about it for a long time. Then I said, "Tell them I want the house too." "The new house?" "Yes." "Jerry, that's going to hurt Lily." "I know." Dennis was quiet for a moment. "Are you sure?" I closed my eyes. They made choices that put their daughter in this position. Not me. They need to face the consequences of what they did. "All right," Dennis said. "I'll tell them." Vincent called me that night. His voice was different. Not angry, not defensive, broken. "Jerry, please, don't take the house. Lily's finally settled. She has friends. She loves her room. Please." I didn't say anything. "I know what we did was wrong," he continued. "I know I can't undo it. But punishing Lily for my mistakes—" "You punished Lily the moment you used her grandfather as a mark," I said quietly. "You built a life on stolen money, Vincent. None of it was ever really yours. What do you want from me?" "I want you to understand that actions have consequences. I want you to feel what it's like when someone you trust takes everything from you." "I do understand. I swear, No, you don't. Because you still have options. You can still negotiate. You can still walk away with something." "What does that mean?" "It means my retirement is gone. My savings are tied up in legal fees and reclaiming what you stole. Desmond and I might have to sell our house. Our house, Vincent. The one we've lived in for 38 years. Because of you." The silence on the other end was suffocating. "I didn't know it had gotten that bad," he whispered. "Now you do." I hung up. 3 weeks later, we sat in a mediation room. Vincent, Veronica, their lawyer, Simon's lawyer. Simon himself was already in custody. Dennis, me. The settlement was on the table. All three properties transferred back to me. The new house sold, proceeds split 50-50 between repayment and their relocation. Signed affidavits admitting fraud. Structured repayment plan over 10 years for the remaining balance. And one additional clause Dennis had insisted on. A restraining order preventing them from accessing any of my financial accounts, credit, or personal information ever again. Veronica signed first. Her hand shook so badly she could barely hold the pen. Vincent signed without looking at me. When it was done, their lawyer gathered the papers and left quickly, but Veronica stayed in her seat. "Dad," she said quietly, "can I say something?" I nodded. "I know sorry doesn't fix this. I know you probably hate me, but I need you to know that I do love you. I always have. I got lost, and I hurt you, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to make it right." I looked at my daughter, at the woman I'd raised, the little girl I'd pushed on swings, and I said, "I don't hate you, Veronica, but I don't trust you, and I don't know if I ever will again." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I understand." She stood up and walked out. Vincent followed her without a word. When the door closed, Dennis turned to me. "How do you feel?" "Tired," I said. "Just tired." 2 days later, I got a call from the district attorney's office. Simon Garrett and Desmond Ruiz were being formally charged. Combined, they were looking at 15 years. Vincent and Veronica, because they'd cooperated and signed the affidavits, would avoid jail time. But their names were now part of the public record, part of the case. The news ran one more segment. This time, they interviewed me. "Mr. Harrison, you've recovered most of your assets. How does it feel?" I thought about that question. How did it feel? "It feels like I did what I had to do," I said, "but it doesn't feel like winning." "Why not?" "Because I lost my daughter in the process." The reporter paused. "Do you have any regrets?" I looked into the camera. "I regret that I trusted too easily. I regret that I didn't ask more questions. But I don't regret holding people accountable for what they did, not even when it cost me everything." 6 months after the settlement, I got a phone call. It was late afternoon. I was in the backyard trying to fix the fence gate that had been sticking for weeks. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Grandpa Jerry?" My heart stopped. "Lily." "Hi." Her voice was small, hesitant. "Hi, sweetheart. How did you get this number?" "Mommy's phone. She was in the shower. I remembered your name." I sat down on the porch steps. "Is everything okay?" "I miss you," she said, and then, quieter. "Are you mad at me?" "What?" "No. Lily, no. I could never be mad at you. Mommy cries a lot. Daddy doesn't smile anymore, and you don't visit." I closed my eyes. "I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry." "Did I do something wrong? Because I told you about the house?" My throat tightened. "No, Lily. You didn't do anything wrong. Not one single thing." "Then why don't you come see me?" I didn't have an answer she'd understand. How do you explain to a 7-year-old that her parents betrayed you? That every time you think about visiting, you remember the lies, the forged signatures, the stolen money? How do you tell her that love and trust aren't the same thing? "Lily," I said slowly, "sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Big mistakes, and it takes time to figure out how to fix them. But you love me, right? More than anything in the world. Then can you come see me? Please?" I sat there on the steps, phone pressed to my ear, and felt something crack open inside me. This little girl, gap-toothed, butterfly-obsessed, innocent, didn't deserve to lose her grandfather because of what her parents did. "Okay," I said. "I'll come see you." "Really? Really? When?" "Soon, I promise." Grandpa. Yeah? I love you. I had to wait a moment before I could speak. I love you too, sweetheart. I talked to Desmond that night, told her about the call, about Lily. She listened quietly, hands folded in her lap. When I finished, she said, "What do you want to do?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to keep the distance, to protect myself. And the other part? The other part remembers what it felt like to be her grandfather, before all this happened." Desmond reached over and took my hand. "Then maybe that's the part you should listen to." 2 weeks later, I drove to Veronica's new apartment. Smaller place, different neighborhood. Closer to Lily's old school, they'd managed to keep her enrolled there despite the move. I knocked. Veronica answered. Her face went through a dozen emotions in 2 seconds. Surprise, fear, hope, guilt. "Dad." "Hi." We stood there awkwardly. Can I come in?" She stepped aside. The apartment was modest, clean, a little cramped. Lily's drawings covered the refrigerator. "She's in her room," Veronica said. "I can get her." "In a minute. Can we talk first?" She nodded. We sat at the small kitchen table. "I'm not here to rehash everything," I said. "What's done is done." "Okay." But Lily called me, and I realized that no matter what you and Vincent did, she's still my granddaughter, and I can't punish her for your mistakes. Veronica's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." "I'm not doing this for you," I said quietly. "I'm doing it for her, and for me, because I miss her." "I understand. But here's what needs to be clear. You and I are not okay. We may never be okay. I'm not ready to forgive what you did. Maybe I will be someday. Maybe I won't." She nodded. "But I can be Lily's grandfather. I can show up for her. If you'll let me." "Of course, yes, absolutely." "And Vincent? He's struggling. But he knows he destroyed your trust. He's not expecting anything from you." "Good." I stood up. "Can I see her now?" Lily burst out of her room like a rocket. "Grandpa!" She crashed into me, arms wrapped around my waist, and I knelt down and hugged her back. Tight. For a long time. "I missed you so much," she said into my shoulder. "I missed you too, sweetheart." When she pulled back, she was grinning, gap-toothed and bright-eyed. "Can we do coloring? I got new markers." "Absolutely." We spent 2 hours at that kitchen table, coloring butterflies, talking about school, laughing at her stories about her friend Emma who ate glue once, and for those 2 hours the weight lifted. Not completely, not permanently, but enough. When I left, Veronica walked me to the door. "Dad," she said quietly, "thank you for giving her this." I looked at her. "I'm doing this for Lily, not for you." "I know." "But maybe," I said slowly, "if you keep making the payments, if you keep rebuilding your life the right way, if you show me over time that you understand what you did, maybe one day we can talk. Really talk." Her lip trembled. "I'd like that. We'll see." I walked to my car, got in, started the engine. Before I pulled away, I looked back at the apartment. Lily was at the window waving. I waved back. That night, Desmond asked me how it went. "It was good," I said. "Hard, but good." "Are you glad you went?" "Yeah, I am." She squeezed my hand. "What happens now?" I thought about that. "Now," I said, "we rebuild, one piece at a time." I'm 64 now. Lily just turned 8. I see her every other Sunday. Veronica and I are still distant, polite, careful, but she's making the payments, showing up, trying. Vincent sent me a letter last month, apologized again, said he's in therapy. I haven't responded yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Simon and Desmond Ruiz are in prison. The other families got restitution. And me? I got my money back. Most of it, anyway. I got justice. But what I didn't expect, I got something more important. I got to be Lily's grandfather again. And in the end, that mattered more than revenge ever could. That's it. That's the whole truth of what happened. My granddaughter told me a secret she wasn't supposed to share, and it exposed lies, theft, and betrayal that nearly destroyed everything. But it also taught me something. Revenge can give you justice, but it can't give you peace. Only you can choose that. If this story meant something to you, if you felt the anger, the heartbreak, the tiny spark of hope at the end, then do me a favor. Subscribe right now. Because I have more stories. Stories about people who were pushed to the edge and had to decide whether to fight back or let go. Stories about betrayal, resilience, and what happens when ordinary people refuse to stay silent. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, turn on all notifications, and tell me in the comments, would you have gone back? Would you have given Veronica another chance? Or would you have walked away for good? Your voice matters. Your story matters. Thank you for walking this journey with me. I'll see you in the next one. Grandpa Jerry.